I can only imagine us together side by side. If we could be a symphony, then we would be a perfect harmony.
What's up guys, and welcome to our Aussie family. This is our first ever video, and I wanted it to be this video because I've done a few of these videos on TikTok. They all performed really well and people seem to really like them, so I thought I'd start my YouTube channel off with things I wish I had known before I gave birth. Now I'm going to start this off with the most important thing I feel you need to know. During these 6 weeks after birth, you are given the instruction not to have any sex. And nobody seems to tell you why. Like, okay, you're prone to infection, and it makes people take it really lightly. But there have been many cases of people getting deadly infections from having sex before they were completely healed up. And there have even been cases of air being pushed into the bloodstream because the wound inside you is literally the size of a dinner plate right after you give birth. So yes, it does close up over that 6 weeks, but it takes 6 weeks to fully close up. So many people have actually died from having air pushed into their bloodstream and it reaching their brain or their heart. So it is so important for you to have no sex during that 6 week mark. The next thing I wish I knew was the afterbirth symptoms, because a lot of them I had no idea about, and one of them is the shaking after birth. That is I'm pretty sure that's your body going into shock. Some people don't get shaking, but I definitely did with every single one of mine, and I was really worried. Like, I thought something really bad was happening, like I was gonna die or whatever because I was shaking so badly, but it is all perfectly normal and you should not worry about it. The next thing is afterbirth pains. I never had them that bad with my first two kids, but my third was extremely bad, and they lasted for like a week, and I was like crying and like moving at the same time because of how bad they felt. So I definitely recommend stocking up on painkillers, because I did not do that and I should have done that. So expect that. It's not always bad, but sometimes it can be, so make sure you have those painkillers ready. Another thing is the afterbirth poo. Okay, and something very TMI, but something that we all need to be okay with. Pooing during birth, that happens. It didn't happen with my first two, and I thought I was gonna get lucky, and then my third, it happened. But another poo issue, I'm gonna do two in one. The afterbirth poo is really painful. So what I recommend doing is bringing pear juice, because that helps to like loosen everything up. And also a spray bottle for when you go to the toilet, because even if you don't tear anything, it still really hurts. Even peeing after birth, like, it really hurts. So make sure you bring a spray bottle to make sure, like, and spray down there while you're going to the toilet, and it shouldn't hurt as bad. Another thing is you're going to get extremely hot, and I never knew that, and I wish I had known that. So even though it's really cold in the hospital, you're still going to get extremely hot. So bring light clothing, even like a boob tube or something, because I didn't want any clothes touching me with my first two births. The last was just sort of so quick that I didn't really care. And also bring hair ties, because you're going to want your hair off your neck, trust me. Which brings me to my next tip, and that is births don't always last a long time. People go on about how long births last, and like they go on about how you shouldn't believe the movies, like how they make it seem so quick, but in a way you should, because some labors are that quick. And I didn't think it would be that quick. I had the mindset, like everyone told me, like it'll always be a long birth, but there are many short births. So make sure you're ready to go and you get out the door as quick as you can, because I'd rather be told that I have to go back home than to have my baby like in the car or on the floor. I was so certain that I wasn't gonna have the baby that quick, but it came on so quickly, I didn't even know what was happening. Like, I was looking at my contractions and they were coming way too fast, and I was like, this isn't right, something's wrong. and then all of a sudden I was pushing baby out because I was in that mindset like this isn't right, like it shouldn't be happening this quickly, but it definitely does. And I'm lucky that I made it to the hospital in time because I was pushing baby out while I was at home. So make sure you're ready, and make sure you definitely time your contractions so you know when it's moving fast and when it's moving slow. Another thing I wish I had known is epidurals don't always work. So I went in there for my first child, I got the epidural and it didn't work, so they had to take out the needle and replace it, and it worked the second time. But for my second baby, that didn't happen. They put the epidural needle in, it didn't work, so they had to call around, and someone finally made the decision to redo it. But by the time they had actually come to that decision, I was in too much pain to even sit still, so I just told them I couldn't do it. So definitely be prepared for no epidural, because I was not prepared. I thought it would work, like I thought it would be sweet, but it didn't, and I freaked out. I completely freaked out. Like, childbirth is painful. Make sure you're prepared for the pain, so if you don't get the epidural, it's not going to be as much of a shock for you, because that was hell for me. The next tip I have is labor positions, and I actually didn't look into this for my first two babies, but I did for my third. Giving birth on your back is actually one of the worst positions you can give birth in, because gravity is like bringing the baby back down and laying baby on your back when your body is like arching up. You can give birth squatting, standing, on your hands and knees, however works for you. I have given birth 3 times on my back. The last time my bub was a lot bigger than my other 2, and I'm pretty sure he dislocated my tailbone, because I mean I didn't feel it during, so don't stress about the pain of that, because I didn't feel it at all. Obviously childbirth is a lot more painful, so I didn't feel it at all, but ever since giving birth it has been pointing in another direction. I should probably get that one checked out. So yeah, I think he did dislocate it, or he did something to it really bad. It's probably gonna give me issues later on in life. It was coming too fast. I was too stressed out and in too much pain to really care about positions at that point. So yeah, if you've got the time and if you can work out another position that works for you, I highly suggest you do that and use laying on your back as a last resort. Something else I wish I had known is that you will bleed for up to 9 weeks after giving birth. I didn't know this beforehand. I thought it was like a few days of bleeding, and plus it's going to be very heavy, so you're gonna need like the thickest pads you can get. I knew this for my second child, but for my first child it was a very rude awakening, and so I hope I help you guys by giving you guys that information before you give birth. Something else I wish I had known is that you have to give birth to your placenta after you give birth to your baby. Now, some people say that this is really painful, others say this isn't painful. For me, obviously the first baby was not painful, I got the epidural. The second baby was extremely painful because they were pressing on my stomach to get the baby out. And I don't know why some nurses do this and some nurses don't. So I think it would be a good idea to bring it up with your midwife at one of your checkups and see what options they have for you, because sometimes they push on your stomach, sometimes they pull on the cord, sometimes they just let it come out itself. So definitely work out what's best. My third, I'm pretty sure my third, I just let it come out, they just let it come out by itself, and I had to just push it out like I did Bub. And although it was fairly painful, it wasn't as painful as Bub, whereas my second was extremely painful. Yeah, I definitely think you should bring this up with your midwife before your labor date. Another thing I wish I had known, and this may not be for you, I feel like everybody is different, and some people like a gradual birth and others like a really quick birth. And for me, I definitely prefer the quick births. My first 2 were around 6 to 7 hours, which isn't a long time, but definitely felt long for me. My third was only 1 hour and 10 minutes. I completely preferred my third baby, and here is why. My first, I didn't feel the pain because of the epidural, so I definitely prefer the third because it was so quick. I was asking. Like, I did tell my partner I wanted an epidural, but it was too quick to be able to get one. And although I wanted one, now looking back on it, I'm really glad that I couldn't have one, because it just feels so good to know that I went through all of that for my baby. So I definitely prefer the quick births, and a few things that I have known, well, I did in my last, because I knew I wanted a quick birth, so I tried my hardest to make my last one as quick as possible, and it was an hour and 10 minutes. I don't know if anything I did made that happen, but here are a few things that I did, so you guys can try this out for yourself. I can't remember the herb. I will put the herb just here, but I was taking this daily. I think it's supposed to strengthen the uterus lining or something, but yeah, it's supposed to make labor a lot quicker. I also inserted this, and you need to ask your midwife about this, and you should ask your midwife about the herb as well, because they can cause labor, so you can't do it too early. My midwife's pretty chill about it. She didn't believe herbs worked, so I don't know. I guess every midwife is different. Definitely ask before you try doing these, because obviously you need to make sure that it is safe to do so. Also, getting a bouncing ball and just bouncing on it randomly, especially at the start of labor, I feel like that pushed it along so much quicker for me, which I didn't need it to be any quicker, but at that point I didn't realize. Like, it just, the contraction started, so I got on the bouncing ball and I just started bouncing, and pretty soon after I was like, oh my god, I can't do it anymore, like he's gonna fall out of me. But I do believe that sped it up like crazy. I shouldn't have done it, so like make sure you time your contractions before you do it, but that's another thing that helped move it along quicker. Now, another thing, and this is very, very important, because I didn't know this for my first two babies, and at my last I sort of clicked on, and because he was so big I was listening to them, which I'm bloody glad I did, because I probably would have torn. So when you are pushing your baby out, the midwife is going to tell you to stop pushing and to do tiny baby pushes. This is to just make sure you don't tear, and I did not know this to begin with, and obviously my first one I was doing what they were saying because it didn't hurt at all. I was able to focus. My second, I was so, like, I was screaming non-stop the entire time, because obviously it was like a really horrible birth. I'm not going to get into that here, but I was definitely like out of my mind. I wasn't thinking straight, and they were telling me to push baby out. So I was pushing baby out, and they were like, stop and do slow pushes. And I was like, no way. I am not stopping at this point. She is coming out now. And I am very lucky I didn't tear. When they say this, it is so you don't tear. So my next bub, I was pushing him out. Obviously it was incredibly painful. They told me to stop and do slow pushes, and my first instinct was like, no, I'm pushing him out now. But then I was able to calm myself down and just listen to what they were saying. And when my partner was talking to me about it afterwards, he said that I went like pure white, and he was certain I was about to tear. He was certain. So if I had not listened to them, I probably would have torn. And I can't imagine tearing. I have never torn, and I hope that stays the same, because God, no. I feel so sorry for you mums who had to deal with tearing, because oh my god. That is my worst fear. No thank you. That's no. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe. I'm going to be putting out one video a week. I'm hoping I'll be able to do 2 maybe a week. We'll see how it goes. Also, let us know what kind of videos you would be interested in seeing. If you want a Q&A with the kids, a birth story, my teen mum story, or a Q&A with me and Regan. Let me know what you guys would like to see from us, and we will make that happen for you. Thank you so much for coming to the new video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.
So rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye. I'm gonna rock you, rock-a-bye, baby, don't you cry. Somebody